Okay, everyone, hello, and welcome back to episode 2 of the Spiked Launch podcast, an episode about Capcom and Gung Ho's most recent mobile card game, Teppen. Joining us this week are two recent Teppen tournament participants. From Team Echo Fox, we have Cure Mango. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello. And we also have from Team Echo Fox, Gengur. Hello.
Hello.
So, guys, tell me a little bit about yourselves, how you guys maybe came to be on Team Echo Fox, and then how you got to be able to participate in this Teppen tournament.
I'm Cure Mango. I'm on Team Echo Fox. I mainly play Shadowverse. That's my main card game, but I'm looking to diversify a little bit more with Teppen.
Yeah, and Shadowverse is extremely popular in Japan. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
It's like a huge
very
game
popular
over
in
there.
Japan.
Huge.
We were at a tournament a few months ago, and there was over 6,000 participants in it.
Oh my god!
Yes.
It was crazy.
How
the
does
room was
that
packed.
compare? How does that compare to other collectible card games that are digital in nature? What is that like?
It's kind of insane. Like, I've been to Magic Gathering tournaments that have maybe a fraction of that number, but seeing that many people for a digital card game, it's crazy, right?
That's unbelievable. Yeah, I can't even imagine. 6,000 people, were they all in one venue, or was this scattered over multiple times? Did they get them all in one building?
Yeah, it's all in one building. It's you'd have a showroom for maybe cars or something.
Wow.
Those kind of event centers. It was the whole room was just people playing.
Wow.
So they were split too. 3,000 players play at this time, and then 2 hours or 3 hours later, the rest come.
Wow.
So it was not all in one room, but it was big enough to fit everyone.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So how would you
Yeah.
say your skills in Shadowverse translate over to Teppen?
There's the card aspect of it, knowing the value of the cards,
Right.
knowing what card I want to play now, what card I want to save later. Those kind of skills go in, but then there's a lot of skill with timing. That's where it's real differences.
Right, because there's always that real-time bar that's moving down. Every 10 seconds, there's going to be an attack from a minion if it's on the field, and how you react to that and how you trade into that. And that's the core of every collectible card game basically now, right? Is just how efficient can you trade? What's the most value you can get out of things and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So...
Also, before we get off track, I'm Gengur.
Oh, I thought we said your name. I'm sorry, Gengur.
No,
I
it's all good.
apologize.
It's all good. It's okay. We went on a tangent. All right.
Presumably from Pokemon, correct?
Nah.
other
Everyone gets that
Gengur from Harry
It's
Potter.
Gengar with a U, not an A.
Yeah, it's a unique name. But I'm also on Team Echo Fox, and I play Shadowverse professionally. And
Okay.
Mango is
Cool.
a part
Cool.
of that, and we're teammates.
Great.
Yeah.
Do you guys? What is your highest accolades you've received in your Shadowverse career?
Top 8 in America for
Yeah.
first place, stuff like that. Yeah.
I've been top 12. We did DreamHack Montreal. We both got third place. We tied for third
Yeah.
place there.
So is
We tied for
Shadowverse
third
also?
place.
I feel grossly uninformed. Is it also a cooperative game? Can you do doubles? Is that what you guys do? Is that your format you prefer?
No, it's more you'd have teammates playing in a fighting game. They're
I
not
see.
actually, they don't fight together, but they train together and other stuff like that.
I
Share
see.
information.
Yeah, and there's a lot of that goes on in Teppen. There are secret Teppen research labs that people to participate in and share deck lists with, and it's not and we talked about it in the last episode. It's not the perfect deck is necessarily going to make somebody who's brand new to the game win, but definitely a better deck played equally against another equal opponent will beat a worse deck, right? And as the meta changes and meta evolves and as balances go through, which we're going to talk later in the show, those things will have to change. So let's talk a little bit about the tournament. We should be able to show the tournament in full. In fact, assuming editing goes well, it should have already been playing. Tell me a little bit about your experiences in the tournament, what it was like, what the high points were, what the low points were, what you guys did to get prepared for it.
Oh, so I wasn't actually a part of the tournament. It was all Mango. Mango was the invited one, yeah.
Yeah,
So that's all on him.
They're pretty much just testing out how they want to run tournaments. So they're using influencers to test it out. So I was invited as influencer to do a little bout, a 1v1 kind of thing. It wasn't a full tournament, just a 1v1 match.
Just an
testing out
exhibition.
their tournament system. Yeah, exhibition, yeah.
Yeah.
So the way they do it, you bring 3 different leaders, and then you play against the opponent, and then you have to switch your leader, depending if you even if you win or lose. So it ended up kind of being awkward because we started off with a mirror match with Nergante, then we switched something else, then we went back to mirror match Nergante, switch something else, and go back to mirror match Nergante. So I don't know if that's the best system, but they're testing it out right now. They're trying to figure out how to run this.
I think the concept of that sounds interesting because the last thing that we want to see is a tournament, and it probably won't happen because there's going to be balance changes soon, but we don't want to see a tournament of like 8 black-green Nergigantes all just like, Peppy Goth flinging spike throws at each other every 5 minutes, right? Like, that's not necessarily what they want to show. They've got a lot of really great characters. They have some that certainly aren't in the meta, but I would say everything is viable if played to its maximum ability, right? Like, even, I would argue one of the weaker heroes, X, he can still be used. He can still be effective. There's still some crazy powerful decks out there, and played well and given opportunity to ramp just like a Nergigante, they can still win. So if you don't make a sort of rotational system, those opportunities will never be shown. It can be a little boring. It can be a little bit boring, I think, for a viewer if they don't get to see any variety in there. So I get it why they're doing it. I'm not sure if necessarily the way to do that is to force a rotation or just to make the game more balanced, which again, they're trying to do. Which I get. All right, hold on. Let's just jump into it because we're talking about it. Spike launch. How much did it get used in the tournament? Was there ever a Nergigante that decided he was going to run the self-destruct ability, the 4+4+4? Did you see any of that?
I wasn't able to watch the other players' games because I was streaming at the same time.
Right.
So I expect pretty much everyone to bring Nergigante if they want to win.
Right.
Spike launch.
Everyone. I can confirm everyone was playing Spike launch. Right. Nergigante.
So as of the recording of this podcast, maybe not by the release of this podcast, but as of the recording of the podcast, the pre-nerf status of spike launch is 17 AP, so that means you have to spend up to 17 energy. And then you will split damage to the units up to the amount of sacrificed life points. They've just announced that is getting a change coming up soon, in about a week. After the change, AP cost is going to go up by 3, so it's going to go from a 17 cost to a 20 cost. And then you will have a cap on the damage. So rather than scaling up to potentially an infinite amount of damage split across the units on the field, it will cap at 12 points of damage. So in your experience, guys, how do you think that will change, the meta of Nergigante? Do you think people are still going to always auto-pick him and use him, or do you think that's going to change what people are going to be doing? Is it going to change what you're going to do?
So it's definitely slower. Yeah, I'll let you talk here. You have more experience with this deck.
Yeah, so 20. So the change to 20 is the biggest one, where it's more expensive than other removals. Like Hadouken is 18. Darkness Destruction is also 18, and this is 20. Hadouken does 7. This does 12 split. So this is not focused on one minion anymore. That's huge. It's also, like I said, more expensive than the other ones too. So why would you use this over Darkness Destruction, where Darkness Destruction could just kill a unit instantly, right?
Right.
And it's also more expensive. So the split is really bad now. This would change a lot about how the deck is played and how moving forward, like, the deck is built. And maybe you don't even use Nergigante anymore. Why would you use something that's so expensive?
It's a gamble.
Exactly,
I mean, theoretically, it is still the highest single target damage. So if you're going up against a purple, they're going to be running more than a 5-cost mana unit that they're going to be resonating anyways. So Darkness Destruction won't work on that. However, the point is still valid. By the time you have 12 points of damage, and by the time you have 20 points of AP, purple's already probably run away with the game.
Exactly.
Probably.
So think of it this way. So if it's cost 3 more AP, that lets purple play at least like 2 more action cards, which will buff
at least
by 4 more health.
Least 2 more action cards, probably maybe 3 if they were just slamming them out on the field. If they were 1 cost, I think it definitely only reinforces the current Nergigante meta, which is green-black, right? Which is a very heavy emphasis on playing the Palicos or Iris to generate more mana, because now you need an extra 3 more energy. It's not even a question anymore. Ramping before just meant you could fling out spike launches freely forever, because 17 was relatively cheap compared to other removal abilities. Now, like, you need the ramp just to get it out at the time that you're definitely going to need it. So I think everybody across the board agreed that it needed a nerf. It'll be interesting once it hits the live servers what it will actually do, if maybe it's gone a little bit too far. Steven and I had concerns that if you nerf Spike Launch too hard, it gives Purple more of a free reign, because one of the tests to Purple was an Nergigante who could Spike Launch out super quickly and destroy the unit.
I don't think that's too much of an issue. If you really want to play against a lot of Purple, you can put Reset in your deck.
Yep. Evasive
They
action.
just cancel it.
Yeah,
They cancel it. A lot of what Purple is a lot of it is just so uninteractive, and then once they have this unit on the field and then they protect it like once or twice and then it's over.
Yeah, the reset will have to be very strategic in how you play it, right? Or you'll have to probably run more just desserts as well, right, Gengar? Probably. I would assume.
Probably. Yeah. The best way to counter Purple is what is that 6-drop called that instantly kills a unit from black?
Oh, Obliteration. If you're running mono black, if you're running Obliteration, that could work, unless they cancel it. But hopefully you've done 15 damage to them already, or you're able to do 15 damage after they play their, what is it? I don't forget what it's called. Hidden Agenda?
Hidden Intent.
Hidden Intent.
Hidden Intent cannot stop 6 play points.
Oh, I see. It's only 5 or lower.
Yeah, it's only 5 or lower. So I think it's the meta. It's going to change into like, oh, I need to play mono black to stop that.
Yeah. Well, you don't need as much green anymore, because you only really want to sacrifice 12 life and then not much more than that, right? So
exactly, yeah.
It used to be like, hey, I want my Spike Launch to be 20, because then I'm going to get at least 7 damage on average for every slot in the field if it's full, and that should clear everything. Now it's like, geez, like 21's just a waste, you know?
It's going to be... I think it's too big of a nerf. That's like my honest, like, down-to-earth opinion. It's too much of a nerf. It forces everyone to just switch from Nergigante to Wesker, and all the other Nergigante abilities are pretty lackluster anyways.
Pretty bad. Yeah, they're not.
Yeah,
they're I mean, I can't say anyone's probably used them much, because why would you? But they're not necessarily what they need to be. It'll be interesting. I think you're right. You might have a point. We might see a lot more mono black Nergigante as a result, because you might want to run more obliterations, because you're going to need more consistent ways to deal with things on the field. Otherwise, maybe we will still see green black Nerg just to get mana ramp, just so people can slam out Spike Launch one after the other. Hard to say, right?
It's going to be a weird time. I think all the Nergigante players are going to freak out once this nerf hits.
I don't know. I'm not worried. I mean, I have a for-fun Wesker deck that I really enjoy that I might be able to tune to be competitive. Chun-Li is always strong. Ryu is always strong if you've got the cards for it. Purple's always good if you're able to get that draw that you need. There's lots of other viable hands out there. I mean, probably the one deck that I used to play around with that I'm maybe falling a little bit out of favor with is that Rathalos, like, make a super powerful minion and have it fly over everything else. When it works, but I just worry that it hand locks way too often.
Yes. Yeah.
It's trying to be Purple, but it doesn't have the consistency.
Yeah.
Purple has card draw, and Rathalos does not.
Does not. No. So you can get locked pretty hard. So let's talk a little bit then about this last season. The season just ended. I'm assuming you both finished in champion rank.
Almost.
Almost.
Yeah, I didn't get to play as much at Gengar, but I ended up A3.
A3. Yeah.
Yeah.
I ended up third in the world.
Third in the world? Okay, pretty good. I'm sure
Big
you were
difference
more
there.
than thrilled with the rewards that you got, at least as of right now. A couple shiny cards. Is that representative of what you think the time and effort you put into the game was?
I honestly thought I would got a little bit more, especially for the top 10 players. They should have gotten more, like an emblem or a representation of.
I did see a post that said that they were going to go back and revisit the top 100 players and see if they could do something. Now, I don't see an official Teppen post for that, and I don't know if that's a rumor or not. So, like, anyone watching this, if that was wrong, like, don't add us in the show notes. Like, that's just what the rumor is now. Definitely underwhelming. I know I spent a lot of time on that ladder. I've got other things I stream. I mostly stream Monster Hunter, but I try to make sure I was at least semi-decent. So I think I finished around 40. I was number 1 at one point, and then like whatever, like Teppen happened. Just Teppen things happened. But I thought that was okay. Hopefully they do 100. They have announced, though, in the new season, though, we do know the noob rewards.
Yes.
So those, on the other hand,
much more. Yeah.
Well, that seems like the rewards we should be getting, which is, and I'll try and go over them, just, people that are just listening. So the new season is called the Ryu season. I don't know why. Maybe they're just going to be going themed one after the other. So champion rank will now be getting a lot of rewards other than just a couple holographic cards. You'll be getting 1 random epic golden card, 1 random rare golden card, 2 random cards, 400 souls, a Grand Prix ticket, and some exclusive icons. And then for anybody that places from 1st to 10th, no, 1st to 100 will be getting a special badge. So you will definitely be able to get something representative, because Teppen is a Japanese word for top, I believe. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. And in most of the interviews with Gung Ho and Ryozo, they always make it seem like this is a game that's about being the best in the world, which is kind of intense if you think about it. Like, there could only be one dude, like there can be only one. Like, I'm not saying it's like a little toxic, but you guys come from a much wider card game background than I do. Can you guys explain, like, how is that handled in other games? Like, how is that handled in Shadowverse? How is that handled in Hearthstone for like end of season rankings?
In Shadowverse, there's a special title for the top 3 players who get best score of the season.
And is it shared among the players, or do you is it like 1, 2, and 3?
It's 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
And you have to play a lot. You have to play
yes
almost every hour of the day. It's crazy.
No, you don't. Really? Is it just to fight to stay up there?
Yeah, these people, players who are number 1, they are always playing.
Wow.
It's crazy.
So the difference between Shadowverse laddering system and Teppen is in Shadowverse you get 100 no matter what win, and you lose 100 no matter what win.
Oh, I'm going to say that's a lot better. That is a lot better.
it is better in a sense, but it just rewards the player who plays the most.
Right, of course. Then you're just slamming yourself upwards continually. That's true.
Exactly. So in Teppen, with this like elo system of, I gain 3 points per win and I lose 30 if I lose, you can't skyrocket past everyone. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I do like this laddering system more because you could catch up to the player who plays the most.
Right. So
in Shadowverse, it's really hard unless you play, every day.
So what a great trio of people to remark on this, because Mango, your experience is far different from my experience, is far, far different than Gengur's experience. The pain, the anguish, and the agony. So you finished at A3. That was probably pretty enjoyable getting to A3, right? You had a good time doing that.
A little bit less than 200 games, and I got to A3.
And that's not much, really. Yeah. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I think I know I'm over 1,000. I'm sure Gengur is probably well over 1,000.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but you probably had a good time getting to A3, and you're probably like, man, if I had another day, I'd get the champion.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad. I have like a 70% win rate or something crazy.
Right. And then Gengur, what was your experience like?
Pray that I don't DC, or else I lose. Or else I lose.
The lag is
1 hour of progress. 1 hour progress per loss.
Oh man!
Just to get back to where you started,
dude.
And it's legit. 3 points per win, and you lose 1, you lose 30.
Yeah, no, I mean, that is literally, I will always say out loud if there's a DC, a glitch, or legitimate loss, because like sometimes you come across somebody and they're just that good, and like somehow they're like A5 and yet they're just a total beast. You don't know how or why they're there. You almost think like they're keeping themselves at the elo just so they could be like a monster. I don't know. I don't know what they're doing there, but sometimes they go crazy. But literally, you lose, you DC, it glitches out, whatever. There goes my hour. Like I have to spend an hour only winning just to get back to where I was. So I don't know. I mean, hard. I have a very mixed emotional response to it.
It's crazy too, just because to get to the top, like even 10, you have to have probably an 80% win rate.
Yes.
And which is ridiculous. especially in a card game where sometimes you get a bad hand, sometimes your opponent gets a good hand, and controlling those factors is sometimes hard, but it's also fun for me just because it tests how good I am and how.
I mean, if you can keep knocking it out, man, you keep knocking it out, you're the only one that can climb. And it's like you're stacked upon a pile of bodies that, maybe within a similar skill range, but they just got statistically worse hands or statistically more crashes or anything else like that. I know I got a new phone for this game. Like, it wasn't often, but it happened often enough that on my 6S, I'm like, I can't play. I can't stream on this game, or I can't play this game consistently because every so often the thing will go nuclear and I'm out of frozen vegetables to cool it down and then the game crashes. So I don't want to lose any more time for that. What do you think, Mango? How do you feel about it? I know you didn't suffer through the trials and tribulations of a champion, but do you feel like it's a better system than at least, Teppen to Shadowverse?
With Shadowverse ladder system, once you reach a certain point, it doesn't really matter. It's just your own personal goal. There's no big rewards after a certain point. Like, they give rewards like top 1,000, but then that's not too hard to get. It's just like the top 100 that are kind of crazy people.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of people. I mean, 900 is like a lot of people that are like, you know what, I'm okay with this. Like me, like I was in the top 50 or whatever. I'm like, you know what, I'm okay. I'm good. I'm going to live my life. It's to put the phone down and be good for a little while,
Yeah. The farthest I made it in the Shadowverse ladder, I think I made like top 500, and I realized I don't want to do this every month.
Yeah.
It's a ridiculous amount of playing to get to the top of Shadowverse.
Yeah.
So the difference between top 1,000 and top 500, those 500 spots is pretty brutal then.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's probably like 200 games. The difference.
200
from,
winning games.
Yeah. Or yeah, exactly. Like, or maybe even more. From like the top 10 to like the top 100 is also ridiculous. Those top 10 players play so much. They're like double the points of
they
their
probably
competition.
play about 4,000 games a month or more.
Well, actually, and this is a good point, and I wish I had checked. Did either of you happen to notice the total number of champions at the end of the season? What we were at?
I did not.
Because that's a good point, because, getting to champion, there are some people that I know that just got the champion, just got their 1,600 points, and then didn't play. Because there are people that you'll find in champion that are under 1,600 points, and they've technically, if they just never did anything, would have ranked higher at the end of the season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
kind of interesting in a way.
That
a
is
lot like the Hearthstone ladder with Legends. So we get to a point where you just sit on a score, and you can kind of sit on that score until near the end, but then you kind of want to push at the end. So the way that the Hearthstone does it is the same way. I think around the same way that Teppen does it. Once you get to Legend, then you have a number based on that, and then you can up your score. But what really matters is the last few days, and then you can push your score higher.
And then for Teppen, there's no decay. So once you're happy with your score, you can get to 1,900 super early in the season and just like, I'm good. I'm going to wait, which is the smart thing to do. Don't play.
Yes.
If you're in the top
the
100,
that's what it's like in Hearthstone. It's kind of weird. But they'll also do an invitational based off of the Legend ladder, which is interesting. So people will just sit on their score, and then they know people are going to push really hard on the last day, and that's what they do, and just to make sure that they have their plays. Yeah,
and I would say that the Teppen community team does seem to be very involved in people that stream Teppen. I can say, and I'm sure you guys have streamed it too. Of course, you were streaming it the other day. Mm-hmm. Every time I've streamed, you always have somebody from Gung Ho or Play Teppen in there interested in the game, because I believe one of their earlier interviews was the hope that players would kind of base and form their own tournament, which currently is, I think, a little difficult to do. And you guys probably encountered this, the room match system is, lack of a better term, broken?
Yes.
Can we use that word, broken? It's broken. I'm sorry, Gung Ho. It's not working. I hope this isn't the first you've heard of it, but it's literally unworkable. Like every third game, it'll just stop. Sometimes every second game, you'll have to reform the room.
Maybe
Yeah.
not even the first game.
Maybe not
it
even the
won't
first game
work.
it'll work. So
We had
you
to
know,
reform once in ours. I know that some other people had to reform more than once during the tournament.
so and again, like this is like, do most card games allow for a spectate option? Do most games have like some sort of an advanced spectator feature?
Games that really want to focus on, that kind of competitive part of the game really want to do it. Shadowverse, when they built the game, they built it right in. They knew that they wanted this to be a part of the game. So they have a really advanced spectating system, probably the best one. Hearthstone, they kind of built it in after. They didn't think of it right away.
Right.
For a competitive game, spectating, of course, is like really good.
Right.
You
right.
want and a good spectating feature is also insanely good. Shadowverse. The problem with Shadowverse at first with their spectating system was when someone was watching the match, they can't see they only can see one person's hand, and that was a problem because the viewer wants to see both players' hand,
Right.
see what they want to do. So I hope in the future, I hope Teppen has that option of like seeing both players' hand instead of just seeing like one. Or if there's not even a spectating feature in the game.
Yeah, it's not a
So-
spectating feature yet.
Right.
Yeah,
and
so-
It's really important to get that in the game.
yeah, it very much still feels like we're in a little bit of almost like an alpha phase of the game, because not only are we missing a spectate feature, but and not only are there many countries that aren't able to play the game yet, at least not officially, we're also lacking in kind of what I would imagine is a standard thing now for many of these competitive games, which would either be a PC client or B, also like a console client. The kind of a questionable thing. And again, it's mostly because like your game isn't really billed as something that might have like a single player story that much. Hearthstone, I know, has a lot of campaigns in it. Shadowverse, I assume, has a good amount of single player content if you want it.
Yes, it
Yeah,
does.
there's a lot.
Teppen is a competitive game in its title, and yet it's missing, I would say, super critical features for it to be a competitive game. If that's what they want, if they want there to be player run tournaments, if they want there to be advanced features, time delays built in, being able to view hands, things like that, those are the things that are kind of like you have to start here first before everything else will really start to come together.
Yeah, that's a feature that they really have to add if they want to make the game easier to make like competitive. Like it's just like you saw the way that you probably showed on the screen how they did this kind of bout, this kind of like showcase matches. They just took our individual streams, and then they showed it on one stream.
Right.
Because they couldn't spectate. Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
all you can do is just restream
Exactly.
someone else's stream, which, that's not uncommon on Twitch. Twitch rivals commonly, they'll just restream another streamer streaming, and they'll be like, all right, this is them. And then they turn that audio down and they're speaking over it with their commentary. That's standard, but, it's not always necessarily the best way to do it or the easiest way to do it.
'cause everyone's not a streamer. Like if you
Right.
want to have a 100-man tournament, they can't. And not everyone's going to be streaming the game. It's just
Right.
not how you're going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, again, like you have some of the best players in the world. Maybe they're unable to get to their stream setup. Maybe they don't have the ability to stream. I don't know about you guys. Whenever I'm streaming the game, like probably about every 20 minutes, somebody's in the chat like, hey, how are you doing this? This is magic to me.
Yeah.
What emulator are you using? I'm not using an emulator. I'm using a USB-C cable to my phone. That's all. It's HDMI.
Yeah,
Costs $5.
I had a hard time streaming the game because my phone doesn't work with a capture card. So I had to get a capture card and another device to be able to stream it. Before I was just mirroring my screen, which doesn't allow for sound, which is kind of awkward.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was able to mirror the screen on my iPhone, but that's like when I wanted to cook eggs on the back of my phone. That's what I would do. It was not a good or effective solution to that. Yeah, no, it's not good. So hopefully, Gung Ho, Teppen, people over there. I don't know. Like, I'm not a programmer. I'm not a game developer. I don't know the work that goes behind creating a PC client, but in order for people, I think, to start really feeling comfortable about really, I mean, at the end of the day, like this is a game that they want people to invest their money into, right? So I know one player on the ladder, he calculated out the total price to get every card in the game, and like he did it and like his second day, it's like $350. If you spend $350 on jewels or whatever, gems, you can buy enough cards so that you'll either A, statistically get all the cards, or B, have enough soul left over to craft everything. And I'm sure they want to be able to appeal to the people that want to be able to do that so they can have the most flexible decks possible, to give them the opportunity to get higher up the ladder, right? Because again, like we said earlier, like player skill is huge in this game. But at the end of the day, two equal players or nearly equal players, the player with the better deck will win, and the player with the most options may have the opportunity to build a better deck. So I don't know, let's talk a little bit about that, because that's something, again, I'm not super familiar with. I know in Hearthstone, every third game or something, you get like 10 gold, or every game you get like 10 gold and like 100 gold, you can buy a card pack. Is that right?
Yes.
So is that actually accurate? I know it's something like that.
Actually, it's something like that.
$300 sounds about on par with what Hearthstone would be for getting like an expansion worth of cards. It's pretty expensive.
How is it for Shadowverse?
It's a little bit more free-to-play friendly than Hearthstone. Actually, Shadowverse added a new system where you can rent cards. They give you these these special currency let you rent cards out, so you don't have to go out and use your other resources to craft it if you don't want to have it permanently.
I'm just thinking, like, first day of the season, like, I'm going to rent my girlfriend Heavenly Kicks Chun-Li, and we're going to spend the weekend playing together. Come on out, Chun-Li.
Like I think it's a good system. But Shadowverse makes most of its money from like cosmetics and different kind of events they do. They do sell a lot of
leaders, stuff like that,
skins, like special shiny cards. Like they have a system where you can buy a pre-built deck, which is really good for new players. But if you buy like 5 of them, you get really shiny cards that you can only get by buying 5 pre-built decks. So they find a way to get people to buy stuff even if they don't need the cards.
I think most general player bases are a lot more accepting of pay to appearance things than they are paying for performance things.
Yes,
and I'm sure that's always like a dangerous road to run down when you're making a game like this, because like they know they're the people out there that will spend a nearly infinite amount of money to get what they perceive a competitive edge over other people. And then, of course, there's the people that will pay all sorts of money just to get the cutest anime skin that they can find.
Shadowverse.
And nobody's like, nobody's sympathizing with the anime guy that spent $500 to get like the special bathing suit edition of their anime wife. So they're like, you should pay that much for your anime wife. Whereas the guy that's paying all that money for competitive advantage, you're like, look, I don't want to spend $300 just so I can get, this special Heavenly Kicks Chun-Li or Mind Control or anything else like that, So hopefully, that you do get a daily reward. Quick tip, note, anything for anyone that is playing Teppen and they're trying to maximize their Zenny, like if you've got a low Zenny reward, like 50 Zenny, just re-roll it. You get one a day. Maybe you'll re-roll it to something better. Like it goes from 50, I think, to 120. Gengur, have you noticed a difference?
Correct.
Yeah, that's the range. So never do a 50 Zenny reward, re-roll it. If it re-rolls into something bad, like wait until the next day. I don't know how many missions you can keep. I think 3.
I believe it's 3.
3?
I think it's 3, yeah.
So try to play around it if you can. Unless you're doing ranked stuff and you're at the last day of the month, like then you just got to do what you got to do. But stay around that. So if you guys don't mind saying, like, what has been your financial investment in Teppen so far? Have you bought more than the season pass? Have you spent any money buying cards? What have you done?
I bought the season pass, and then I bought like another maybe like 7 packs.
Pay to win. Let's go.
Gengur, are you in? Are you in that $300 bucket?
No, I just spent the season pass. I think that's all you need, especially for newer players who coming into the game. I think that's all you need to get like at least 3 good decks to compete with. Yeah, because you get a good amount of soul left over once you've scrapped all of your cards. I bought the season pass, and then when I transferred the game to my other phone, I appear to have gotten the promotion for like the bonus jewels again. So I spent another $5, so I think I spent $10 on the game. I haven't actually used those jewels. Like I'm keeping my jewels just to continually buy season passes because you want to get the Zenny from those. You want to get the cards that you can then
scrap them for the soul so you can craft things. Generally speaking, that's going to be your absolute most efficient thing. And I think most people are okay with that. Like, we know, I guess we should talk about it now. I don't have the link to it, but it has been a press release saying that they are planning on releasing a new hero soon.
Mm-hmm.
So it would appear then that expansions will likely feature one hero at a time. I think we could assume that we will likely get some additional cards. I don't know how many cards we'll get. It's pure speculation. What do you guys think?
So, I don't know how they would release just one hero for like what class would it be on? Like what color? All right, this is like a far stretch, but I feel like they're gonna release just another color and just 2 more heroes.
What?
Just to like fill in that slot.
So like we're gonna get like white or yellow or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, exactly. But that's probably such a stretch. Like the game has what I'm thinking is the game has 8 heroes, right, in total right now, and adding a 9th hero doesn't make sense to me. Adding a 10th hero makes like much more sense, but it's just speculation. I think they're just trying to tease, but maybe they won't go that far. Maybe I'm just overthinking it, but it's just nine is just a bad number.
It is an awkward number, but I mean, I don't know. That's really interesting, especially if like there are cards released that are centered around that hero and that color, because that would definitely swing things over. Again, more cards means more options, which means potentially a better deck. 100% of the time, I think. Unless they just give you a bunch of really bad cards, which who would buy that, right? Who would do that? Nobody does that.
Like just thinking about it, imagine having a 3rd red hero and then every other class has only 2. That seems weird. I don't know. Like this 9th hero just doesn't make any sense.
If they were quick about it, so if it was like a new hero every season, so like every month or 2 months, I could see that. You know,
have like a season where everyone's playing red because they have more cards in the pool.
I guess.
Then you have a season where
interesting.
Maybe there's more balance because now purple has 3 and red has 3.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just tagging on with you guys. I mean, I think the way we're talking about it and we're thinking about it is like we're the players, we're in the system, like we're thinking about what would be the way we would logically balance this game in a quick fashion. Whereas they're not necessarily balancing the game around that, right? They may just be releasing one hero at a time because that will allow them to stretch out their content calendar much longer than they would otherwise. From a balancing perspective, of course, release 4 heroes or at least 2 heroes at a time. But from them, every other month. That way we instead of a one big update a year, we've got one every 2 to 3 months. Which I mean, honestly, would keep us. That would keep us engaged more, because that's always more things to look at, play around with, tweak. I mean, the meta will change. Black-green Nerg or mono-black Nerg or any other version of Nerg is getting a swift kick in his white spines soon. And so in that power vacuum, there will be the next easiest to build deck that will fill the void. I still really like the looks of mono red Ryu, but I don't have the cards for it. So like I can't really run that. That's an expensive deck to build. I think the allure of mono black Nerd or black green Nerd it was actually a very cheap deck to build from a soul perspective wise. And of course Spike Launch was super overpowered anyways. So it was the sort of thing like it was like the everyman deck could play black green Nerd. And if they were playing it while everybody else was goofing around on X, they were slamming their way up to champion rank, Interesting.
Why not play the best deck?
Why not? Why not?
Exactly.
Why wouldn't you? And again, that's, it's always a struggle, I think, from a balancing perspective, because you don't want to make an ability useless. Like, I still don't think Spike Launch will be useless. It'll be weaker. But at the same time, like, it makes the people that have built that deck and enjoy playing that deck feel worse about it. The emphasis instead should be, how do we make things better to play? More enjoyable to play. I think Dante and a lot of other abilities could have stood a buff rather than just straight up nerfing Spike Launch, at least as much as they did.
Yes. It was, like I said, it's too much of nerf.
So not to put you guys in the spot to try to come up with one, but if either of you could have taken any of the other abilities in the game and given it a buff, what would it have been and why? And I know you can't just think of it right now, but because I can't imagine like you sit around like laying in bed late at night being like, man, if only Heart Tank gave 10 life rather than 7. But can you think of anything?
Heart Tank right away. That one to me is one of the worst because it costs the same amount as Ryu's Hadouken, and it does the same amount of like it gives you 7 life, and Hadouken does 7 damage. But the difference of removing a unit off the board and just having a unit stick a little bit longer just to get hard removed later is the big difference, right?
Even if it were something as simple as +1 attack, +7 life, that would change everything, right?
Yeah, it's a big deal because it could trade into more things.
Mm-hmm.
Just Heart Tank, either it hits more than one unit or gives you more life or costs less. I think that's an ability that needs to be buffed a little bit.
I saw a scary X on ranked the other night, and he only played X, and he had decks for every single one of the abilities, and he was good at it. And I think I lost to him, but like that's more of I think a result of like somebody who's hard committed to like playing and learning X than necessarily those abilities being good, right? Whereas if you play Black Green Nerg, might be not great at the game, but you're just able to auto win like every third match. So what about you, Gengur? Do you have like your long lost ability that just needs a little tweak to maybe see it go into the meta?
I really like Nerg Spike Bomb is one of the most interesting abilities.
Is that the +4/+4, or which one is that?
Yes, it's the +4/+4.
Self-destruct, yep.
I feel like aggro in this game is pretty bad. Like the only close deck that was close to aggro was Nerg Blue-Green, and it's not even that aggro. It's just like take over the board, and just go face whenever you can. But it's not like, I want to go face every single time.
We consider that a zoo. We call that a zoo deck.
Yeah. I want more of those zoo decks to be in the meta. So instead of like people just comboing you to death with Dante, at least have a chance to like out aggro your opponent and kill them faster before they could kill you with the combo. Aggro is not prevalent in this game at all. It's very weak, and ability like that, dealing 4 damage to to your opponent's face is like huge, but it's just too weak still. And I want that. I want it to be like a little bit more powerful, but not too much.
Maybe just dropping the AP cost would be enough then.
Maybe exactly.
Because you do lose the unit. I mean, he's gone. So like from what I can tell, the way to play that is throw a unit into a lane. Well, you could play it 2 ways, right? Either you throw it on something because they gain 4 life as well, have them win a trade and then hit the face, or use it at the absolute last minute, like you said, and immediately like uninterruptible do an additional 4 damage to the opponent, right?
Yeah. And that would be good for the game just because it's another option that hasn't been explored. But maybe Nerg will play that.
I've seen it used a little. As I was playing around for the first weekend, I played around it with a little bit, using it, like I said, more so as a way to like win a very difficult trade. You know, again, uninterruptible +4 attack as an opponent is running into me, and then hitting the opponent and either almost definitely killing them, the minion that they play in response, or dealing an additional 4 damage. It's pretty good either way. It's just, I think it's an expensive ability. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. Is it like 20 or 21 or something like that? It's something ridiculous. Hold on, I got my phone right next to me.
Yeah, I was going to pull up my phone too.
I want to say 20 or 22.
Too expensive.
I would say 20, yeah.
It's too expensive.
Too expensive. It costs a minion, and
it's nice for Black because Black has the revenge, like really cheap revenge units, but they don't. It's just still too expensive, and just building your deck around those small units isn't good enough.
And I'd like to see revenge used more. Like that's always kind of a fun, almost quasi gambling mechanic. Used, of course, a lot more when you're playing as Wesker, but it always results in a very interesting match because it's like you do it early on. You may not see them, but if you do get them right away, it's great. And then if somehow you've really dragged out the match, and it's like you and your opponent, you're getting down to 0 cards, and you start drawing all your revenges, well, they're going to run out of, like, sometimes matches will get to the point where both players have stalled. The revenge deck has so much more gas. It'll just keep going and going and going. And there's a really weird interaction with one of the actions. It's like it's like a 1-cost action. I think it costs 2 life, and it gives a unit revenge. And the interesting thing with that is it can revenge a revenge unit. And I think they come back with another +2/+2 on top of their revenge. Kind of cool.
That is cool.
I haven't seen it used a lot, but we might start seeing it now, like people that want to keep playing black and they're not happy with the changes to Spike Throw.
I've seen the most insane thing I've seen with that card is revenging a Chun-Li.
Ooh,
Yeah.
spooky
That's
heavenly kicks.
crazy. Yeah, and then it's costs 2, and then you just play it, and it's a huge body.
Easy win. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's always
Also, I
like
just
the
pulled
big
it
risk
up.
in the beginning, right? It's flinging out that heavenly kicks as your first card.
Yeah.
Oh, I
it
tried
works-
that in tournament. Didn't work.
If it works, you've won. If it doesn't work, you probably haven't lost because it's probably traded into whatever you fought, but you might be at a slight mana disadvantage. Like, it's always interesting in my mind, and I'm far inexperienced in card games compared to you guys, but like, it's always interesting to me how certain units trade in different ways depending on the ratio between attack and life, right? Like, I love
Yes.
that. Like, I spend all day thinking about that when I'm playing Teppen. I'm like, well, like, actually, if you just give this thing 1 attack, it trades all day with all these sort of things. So the difference between 1, 2, and 3 attack minions is huge. It's insane how it changes. You guys are both high-level Shadowverse champions. What's the best advice you think you could give people that are playing Teppen from your years of experience playing Shadowverse?
I would say don't immediately just play cards. You have a lot of time. You can hold on, gather up your MP, and then save your cards. A lot of people think that red is like an aggro color.
is not.
It's not.
No.
It's what I would call a tempo. You want to hold on to your cards and play them in response or as a reaction
Yeah.
to what the opponent's doing.
Red is like a class where you have to react to everything, and if you mess up once, you just lose the game.
Don't screw it. No mistakes allowed with Ryu.
Yeah, no mistakes allowed. I love playing Ryu. Ryu is my favorite deck.
Yeah, I was watching Time Rocker. He streams Teppen quite a bit. He was playing Ryu, and first of all, shout outs to Time Rocker because I know we'll put a link to him in the show notes. He does great analysis and play-by-play on all of his matches, and two, like he's pretty good at Ryu. Like, he's really good at thinking it. Like, over the course of a 4 or 5 hour stream, you might make some mistakes, but again, if you're in the top 50 champion, you're at Gengur level of like 80-70% win rates. And that's not easy to do. Like, it's again,
That is
like,
not.
that means there's somebody else out there that's got a 30% win rate, maybe. And they're constantly getting smashed into the bottom of A5 or whatever. I don't know. We're not bullying those people, but it's for one to shine so brightly, somebody has to be on the pile of bodies to push that person up there. So Time Rocker is one of those. Gengar is one of those.
I think Time Rocker is like a top 5 Ryu. He's really good.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good. So definitely check him
He's
out.
really
Definitely check it out. And why don't you guys take this as an opportunity to promote your channels and what you guys do and sort of your stream schedule and what sort of content people can expect from you.
Okay, so the first I'm Cure Mango. I'm at twitch.tv/Cure_Mango. And you can find me on Twitter at Cure_Mango. I stream Teppen and I stream Shadowverse, mostly in evenings for Eastern. It's like around 6. I start around 6 Pacific time. Go later in the evening.
Very good.
Yep. I'm Gengur. You can find me on twitch.tv/GengarLOL. I mostly stream Shadowverse. Like, I only stream Shadowverse most of the time. I will stream Teppen soon. You can find me on social media on Twitter at GengarSV. Follow me. It's pretty good. I post Teppen decks all the time on there too. And yeah, that's basically it. That's all for me. Yeah.
Okay, and Steven's not here. He is at the True Asian _HS. I think that stands for Hearthstone. I was going to make a joke about it, like that stands for high school, but I don't want to say anything too weird. You can find me twitch.tv/SDShepherd, at SD_Shepherd, youtube.com/Social Dissonance. I really just play Monster Hunter. I play Teppen because it's got Monster Hunter characters in it, and I think that's neat. So thank you guys
All
so
you
much. Thank you, Mango. Thank you, Gengar, for being here on the show. Thank you for giving actually some like really amazing advice. Everyone, these guys are top of the world in Shadowverse. Coming soon near you to probably another Teppen Invitational, I would assume. Smashing faces, breaking legs. And I think that's it for now. So until next time, guys. Maybe every week, maybe every other week. Don't hold us to it. Thank you for watching, and see you again soon.
See ya.
See ya.
Goodbye.